All right, back on the project here. So we're gonna start on the back on this one, and the reason why is because I actually have another section of the rear fender, so I'm not cutting up this piece. I'm going to use this one, kind of go from there on it. So we're gonna start on the rear because the problem I'm having, and I want to make sure that I have enough time to settle this first, is get you flipped around here. There's not a lot of room there. There's some, but not much. So I want to make sure that if I need to do any modifications to that piece, that I can do it. So we're going to start on the rear for that particular reason. With that, at the swing arm, it's painted. It looks terrible. It's just temporarily. I will powder coat this when we go to do the engine swap. The frame, everything is getting powder coated. All the stuff that doesn't need to be on here is going to be getting removed. Like with the Mustang seat, these two tabs aren't used. I may leave these, but I'm going to cut this off because I don't use this. It's just there. So some of the little brackets will be getting removed. I've got the rear master cylinder on, and if you see down in there, it does actuate, but it also moves. I'm not happy with the mounting bracket I've got set up here. This is the way the guy did on if you just Google CBR wheel swap for the Magna, this is how he has his set up with his aluminum plate, and I don't like it. It's just, it moves too much. So I'm actually going to, I've got a steel plate back there made out of this stuff here. I mean, it's, you know, pretty heavy steel. I'm actually just going to weld that straight to the frame right there. That'll be good enough. It was kind of complicated. It was a pain in the butt, so I just done it off camera. I hope y'all can see this, what I've done though. So I've made this J bracket, or L bracket, whatever you want to call it. I bolted it onto the factory pinch bolt here, ran it over, and it's just ran in through the little pin here, and it actuates as, you know, intended. It works perfect. So there's that bracket I made I was talking about. I'm just going to weld it to the frame. The pressure switch, or not pressure switch, the brake light switch is not going to work anymore. So I am actually going to be removing that, and I'm going to be installing a brake pressure switch that will bolt in. They make one that actually goes in place of this bolt, and it's just got two wires, comes out of it, and once pressure gets achieved here, it turns the light on. So that's what we're going to do there. As far as the swing arm, these plates are moving properly. With this, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. The bolt slides in nice. It slides in along just fine. So everything there is functional 100%. So we're going to start with getting this put on, and then get the wheel put in, and that's really about it for the rear. It's super simple. So let me get you set up on the tripod and we'll get it put in. Alright, so the swing arm pivot nut on these is 65 foot-pounds. So we're going to go to 65 and let's get that torque down. There you go. You don't have to have a fancy torque wrench, just a regular torque wrench will work, but that's the torque specs on it. And don't forget your there it goes. There's that one. Make sure it still moves freely. Ooh. I just realized that my battery box is broken. That's fun. I'll have to replace that. Really, I mean, there's really nothing to it. Only thing left is put the rear wheel on. Alright, for adding the rear wheel on here, the rear caliper. So, for the rear here, what we have is stock CBR 900 rear wheel spacer on both sides. Of course, I put new bearings and seals in it. This is a CBR 600 F3 rear disc. This is a CBR 900 carrier assembly and the sprocket, obviously. There is the little spacer that's needed in between that's needed between the carrier and the wheel itself, and then there's also another spacer that's inside the wheel that's important. I almost forgot that. So there's that, and then of course the cush drive. I have new cush drive bushings in here as well. The stock Magna rear wheel spacer. This has been milled down to 1 5/16 of an inch. And then this is the CBR 600 F3 rear brake caliper and bracket. And of course the pads and everything. I've got all new hardware. These are new shims front and across here. New bridge pin. I've got new bleeder screws, new O-rings, new pistons, new everything. So even some of the pieces, like this little piece here, well, you didn't get in a rebuild kit, and I actually just ordered them. So actually from Honda, all this stuff is all good quality stuff. So caliper goes in there this way. Of course, the tire will go on there this way. So then we're going to start with the assembly. Caliper. That's what I figured. The spacer. Okay, so we're gonna do this up. There we go. Making progress. Alright, there we go. I wasn't sure how that was going to work out, and it seems to be exactly what I expected. Alright, so as you can see, stock Magna wheel spacer, R6 brake caliper, which I've still got to make some kind of a stay for right here. And then the other thing is over on this side. There's the CBR 900 spacer. You can barely see the CBR 900 spacer there. And so there's that. The tire is fairly centered. It's slightly to the right, just ever so slightly, I think, based on my eyeball measurements. But so I don't know if y'all have noticed this hole here. This hole here, I'm actually going to be using it's a grade 5 bolt. That with a washer. That'll go through there. And then another washer and a nut. And then that's going to get clamped together. This will tie this billet block to the stock swing arm, and then this extension piece is literally only going to be used as an adjustment point. That's really going to be about it. The pinch bolt and everything, the axle bolt is just on the billet block, and I mean that's not a whole lot of stress that, you know, to be on that billet block. So this piece here, like I was trying to explain, doesn't really matter. So I have this, and I think it'll be more than strong enough. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Now I may end up having to go with a longer bolt here. Whoa. But if you notice how that lines up just perfectly, actually, you know what? I may have an idea for that. Hang on. That works out perfectly. So I knew that this was about the same distance here. But that hitting that axle bolt right there, or that bolt right there, that is more than strong enough to keep that thing from spinning. That will be perfect. There's not going to be any force going back on it. All it's got to do is keep it from going that way. So that will work just fine. Tighten that up, and then this shouldn't move just because of it being all completely tightened here. This will just give it extra brace to make sure it don't rotate. So that's what we're gonna do. Works perfect. Now this is a grade 8 bolt, and it'll work. It's just it don't blend in as well as a grade 5. Grade 8's obviously stronger, but that grade 5 will be plenty strong enough. So I may get a 3-inch grade 5 bolt. Now the other side I think is going to be more difficult though. I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up for today's video. That's pretty much everything for the rear axle and rear rear swap. You've got the swing arm, of course. All I've got to do is put the shocks on, or the struts, shocks. Put the axles in, brake calipers in. It's not moving, it's not going anywhere. Everything there is perfect. One thing before I end the video, I am going to throw the rear fender on here just so y'all can see how it looks with the fender on there. Just a little sneak peek. Alright, here we go. That's the fender placement and the shock mounted up. It's just loosely sitting on there for now. The bolts are just kind of pushed in, holding the fender up. But that is pretty much what it's going to look like, and I really like it. I still think I'm going to have to modify that bracket, but it's not really a whole lot that I can do about it right now. It's kind of just it is what it is. So but with that being said, I think that's going to be pretty much about it for today's video. Once again, like always, if you did like this video, be sure to smash that like button. Be sure to comment down below, let me know what y'all think, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.